No Howling coming out. The Fury band stays up.
Mm-hmm.
Jace band stays up. So knowing these bands, where do you think Ultra Prime's head's at for this B1?
So there's no Vi. I'm trying to take a look. There's no Vi. There's no Corki available. Gwen and Ambessa as well as Rumble are
Skarner.
gone. Skarner's gone. In my mind, you're starting to think about some of those 80 junglers in particular. Maybe we even get an 80 carry first pick with how the pool is starting to constrict. Ashe first pick is still a little questionable to me, but
Wukong is still available for Monki if he can get to it on the turn, or does not. Junhao denies it, takes it away from Monki. So that is another member of WE where we feel like their champ pool is getting pretty heavily pinched for this game 3.
So Renekton Blind would be interesting here for Cube. I feel like Jong has so far played a lot of interesting different picks. Still has some of the champions that we saw from him in Split 1. So wouldn't be surprised to see something like a Jax come out in the top side here for Jong, just giving him that ability to play a little bit early. Third pick or second pick here for WE. I mean, Sejuani's not bad in my opinion. Kind of suffers into the Wukong, but if you just need some kind of tank, I think it's fine.
Did we future speak it? Prophesize it? Yeah, all right. Oh, no, we didn't. All right, so Taeyoon is going to blind the Kaisa with Ashe available. Kalista was banned away in a game this series as well. Low range 80 carries if these two come through.
Ooh. Just wanting to play really aggressive. I don't know if I really want to go for Kalista here. It's Kalista into Renekton sounds a little bit tough to play.
Renata's
and
up, though.
Renata is up and available,
and
so if they're going to go for
Nico.
that pair, I have been less favorable of the Nico. I think especially for Xiaoxia, we actually saw this pair a little bit early on into the year or into Split 2 and didn't look all that great. But we're going to end up going for it, so wanting to go for some strong lanes here from Ultra Prime.
More circles.
WE going for the scaling option, and that has been kind of where these games have really thrived. You think back to Game 1, Ultra Prime with this really easy composition to scale with. Game 2 here, WE as well. So now we're looking at Ultra Prime. You're missing some top laners here, and for WE, we still are going to potentially give our counter pick over to Taeyoon in the mid lane, or Karis in the mid lane.
Right. I like the Gnar ban because Team WE are recognizing we've already gotten 2 big circles, so there's got to be more Wombo coming with this composition on top of the Nico Wukong. I am a bit worried about that, knowing Ultra Prime failed to really synergize the last Wombo they tried to throw down. This one is a little bit easier objective-wise, right? You're not playing all out for a Viego reset. You're just trying to chain these ults together, buy space for Wako's Kalista to really cook here, as the Jax is also denied away from Zhang, and Monki will get the Sejuani and the Lilia taken away there. So where do you really go from here? I mean, these are some intriguing covers. Zyra priority has really fallen off, I'm now realizing, since Split 1.
Yeah, I think it's mostly just the players that are playing it, and also you think about like what's kind of strong. Honestly, Maokai I think is perfectly fine here as well as an option to try to play into some of the shorter range. So WE trying to give counter pick to Monki, newest addition to the roster in Split 2, taking over for Tianjin in the jungle. So Ultra Prime now have to pick up your solo lanes here. I mentioned earlier that Jax could have been an option, no longer available. I actually think maybe even a Gragas is on the cards here for Zhang in the top side. Just would be a little bit of a different look and kind of reverting back in form to a Split 1 Ultra Prime.
Valuable ultimates to steal for Karis, who, despite Taeyoon's heroics, we really gave a lot of credit to his ability on the Azir to open up some of these fights. Silas can do a very similar sort of angle, can follow a similar sort of angle, stealing away Cyclones, Pop Blossoms. Interested to see if he does any hilarious hijinks with the Fate's Call, maybe to save his team. Cassante going to be the blind here for Zhang. And what does a Monki want? I saw the Volibear. If you want to lean into meta, I don't hate the Volibear here, but the Olaf is going into the jungle R5 for Monki.
Ooh. A lot of, a lot of setup, at least. You can have this Silas take a Nico ultimate, take something like even the Ahri ultimate to be really annoying. I'm going to be honest, Slayer, I really like this draft here for W. I think it rounds out really, really well. This Kaisa does give them an insurance policy, and for Ultra Prime, how do they ever deal with this champion? Kalista's going to be sitting there trying to throw spears, but she's going to get slowed down, so that's going to be really ruinous for her. Even when we look at team fights here for Ultra Prime, they need to be winning early game. They need to have really strong vision control. And in the top side specifically, Jung on this Cassante, I feel like doesn't have very many options. You already are losing the lane into Renekton early on. You'll be tanky enough later, but you're going to be playing into Sylas. You're going to be playing into a Kaisa. I think it's very burdensome to play some of these champions here for Ultra Prime. So maybe showing off that those best of ones looked really good, but these best of threes, we're already seeing some of these bans, some of these constricted champion pools starting to fire back here.
Yep.
And WE with the potential to send themselves after what has been a loss in round 1, taking a pretty convincing win up against LGD, and now doing it here in the final game of the promotion for the Last Chance qualifier.
And doing that, wrecking everybody's promotion tournament predictions. I dare you to find somebody that tweeted, posted anywhere that they had FPX and WE in Group Ascend once we got this placement tournament. But that is all behind us. It is to look forward here as we enter the same familiar battle arena we all know and love to decide which one of our teams escape elimination potentially from Split 3 and go to Group Ascend, and who fall further down the dark path known as Group Nirvana and even bloodier games ahead of them. Here we go, Alk.
Really tough game here for Ultra Prime. Big point of contention, like I was saying, vision control. So how Junhao and Xiaoxia are able to take control of space, because you're going to have an Ahri that hopefully from Fog of War is going to be able to throw out charms. And for WE, I think it's very easy for them to actually walk forward, right? Like they have this Leona, and eventually Monki can just kind of turn on the jets with this Olaf. So early pathing, I want to see from Ultra Prime in particular, if they can do something like we saw in the last game, get in and invade Monki. Any damage you get onto Olaf early does tend to stick. He loves being low HP, but against jungle camps and very early on, it does become a bit difficult to operate. So tough mountain to climb here, in my opinion, here for Ultra Prime.
Yeah. I'm curious what jungle skirmish antics we may get in this game. We obviously saw Junhao be an absolute menace to the jungle society of Monki when he picked that Skarner. But Olaf and Wukong, that is an interesting skirmish if the paths align for it. And for now they do, barring any sort of crazy clears down. Both going to go towards their bot side, which, have to mention, unlike last game, is extremely volatile with the low range and the early threat both Nico and Leona bring to the lane. It does seem like Xiaoxia and Wako are going to grab that level 2 first.
Ooh. So Xiaoxia actually kind of just showing, by taking the Ahri clone, you just get to show that you're level 2. It doesn't actually end up occurring. Wako and them, I think, kind of misplayed this a little bit by shoving in. They lost some of the melee minions when they pushed so far up, and just allowed for Taeyoon and Vampire to pretty healthily, in my opinion, stay on top of their resources. The one thing I will note, both junglers are on this side of the map and are pathing down. Junhao a little bit behind, and obviously with the turret underneath WE's the wave underneath WE's turret, Monki is in a much closer proximity to actually get to this lane and get some action going.
Preliminary wards thrown towards the river, but Monki still has a blue buff to clear as Junhao is on to his Krugs as we speak. Both bottom lanes jockeying for river vision positioning, but I don't spot a blue side ward here for Ultra Prime. Must have gotten cleared out by that pesky Leona, being able to knock down those wards early. And Monki is actually going to pivot his attention towards the mid lane, but Saber is wiser to it.
So Monki's just going to have to go up towards top side, maybe even potentially go for a gank. Not on this wave, but on that next wave that is leaving the base for WE. Taeyoon got in a recall, was able to find a single longsword, and Let me see. So he has what? So there's 6 minions in this wave. So he's lost maybe like 2 or 3 just to get a small cheater in. Pretty good tech coming in from Taeyoon.
I'm always fascinated as, if you guys don't know at home, when you get these Slayer AlkBattery casts, it's a marksman-focused broadcast here as 280 carry mains. I always love talking about cheater angles. I think that's like, as mundane as AD carry can be of just like, make sure you hit your minions and catch waves at the right time. Cheaters are like the one fun part, it feels like.
They are systematically changed as well, because we had that big minion change coming into the year where minions move a little bit faster, they have a little bit more HP. So the timings there did have to change in between the seasons. So we'll see how much it actually makes a difference, and also what build we'll be getting from Taeyoon. Obviously, Kaisa is a champion that has a million builds that you can try to go for. Always feels like every year with item changes and small stats changes that how you get those breakpoints always gets a little bit more creative. And potentially a lot of action going on towards the bottom lane here as both junglers making a beeline.
Junhao hopping out with that trickster. Bottom lane starting to get volatile. Monki is running through. Here he comes with the ghost. He doesn't have the Ragnarok and gets the axe thrown down first. Wako gonna have to cleanse and flash as Vampire follows him. So that is both flashes and 3 summoners off the Ultra Prime bottom lane that has been getting shoves in all early game long.
Perfectly fine in my opinion, because now what we can do is even have our Olaf go towards the top side, be really strong heading into this objective around these grubs. And he's going to be Junhao picking up the dragon in the meantime here. He's going to be able to at least teleport, and they're already sending Karis to pick up this bottom lane wave. I like how proactive they're being, because it does allow for WE to play with some flexibility. If they really need to, they can move him over, and they kind of trap Wako under this bottom lane turret.
Dragon for Junhao. Going to be picked up here. Rarely we see the first dragon going down before the grub spawn with how much priority they are for the grubs, so that does kind of cut off any sort of trade back angle for Team WE. Wonder how aggressive Junhao wants to get playing for these grubs, but as I say that, he's got 2 bottom lane camps to play for, and it looks like Ultra Prime are going to be content with just trading the grubs for the dragon, and part of that because WE did force Taeyoon and Vampire up towards this river.
Yeah, they took control of mid, so really good job of being able to play off of the lanes from WE. And Monki now, by finishing all 3 of these grubs, will also tick over to level 6, so a massive power spike already here for WE. And with a tunneler under boots, I think that there is some potential here for Monki to really have a big carry game. I know we saw it on the Viego when we've gotten those Nefiri games, but Olaf is not a champion that we've been seeing very often. The only other person I think we got to see play Olaf jungle, this year anyway, was Kanavi up against LG, if I remember correctly. There is a Kanavi game, I think there's a Tarzan game. It's very rare.
Very rare indeed, as we finally get the first Ragnarok used here on the top side. Monki doesn't get a ton of value out of it. Nobody's died just yet. There's the pullback from the Cassante. They're trying to get Monki without the Ragnarok form, and it's first blood over to Zhang. Cube gonna have to flash out here with the Ragnarok down, the Dominance down. But that is big for Ultra Prime. The first huge Ragnarok out of this Olaf jungle. They survive, and they're looking to thrive as the Fates Call throws the Nico into the face of Vampire, and Wako picks up a straggler.
I feel like it's a bit tough, but really fantastic job from Wako. Because he actually got trapped on that bottom lane wave, it does mean that he's a little bit ahead of Taeyoon in terms of experience. And so it means that while that entire play is happening, he's actually able to get level 6, and they make the end of that play really strong. I will say for Team WE, they still were able to grab 3 of those grubs, and not too many summoner spells in trade where, again, Ultra Prime really need to overforce for some of these objectives and some of these advantages if they want to find them.
Does help that getting their Callista ahead is big, especially knowing, like, when we talk about power spike, effect, what point of the game do certain marksmen find their biggest effectiveness window? You know, a Callista with a snowball lead, right, is just such a mid-game menace, hopping around, getting ultimate value out of that first item spike, where we still need to buy time for this Kaisa no matter what variant we really get. So, see if Ultra Prime can lean on Wako, who, as we talked about a lot, has been as inconsistent as as Ultra Prime has been at points. So it feels like a lot of their most successful games is Wako tuned in, carrying through some of his picks. We saw it with the Varus, not with the Misfortune. So we'll see if this Callista will mirror the Game 1 performance for the Ultra Prime AD carry.
Okay. A lot of gold. I like how Team WE have been playing so far in this series and all of today really around overloading. It seems like that has kind of been the big focus for them and kind of the practice in their scrims of just like, hey, we are going to be trying to play the map just a little bit better. That was a point of weakness for them coming out of Split 2. And right now they were able to get a lot of plates for Karis during all of this. He almost has 3 plates on that bottom lane turret down for himself. So a lot of gold now here for this mid laner of Team WE, who we have a lot of questions for, especially as a mid lane import. LPL known for some pretty legendary, some pretty great mids already. And Karis has, I think, not really shown his best games so far in 2025.
Did have the impactful Azir in that Game 2 win for WE. It's important to remember a lot of the WE sample size for success has been in the last couple of days. So take that with as much of a grain of salt as you like. But important to remind everybody at home that these are still very much so project squads looking to earn an ascension spot where they can refine their strategies, find more cohesion, and just try and compete against some of the best of the LPL. Because there's no better place to learn and grow as a squad than going up against the best of the best in Group Ascent. Yeah,
and now look at this fight. I mean, I think Ultra Prime, they need to rip this, and they need to rip it fast, because WE are walking in with 3 item power spikes here. Cube can teleport in, he'll have a finished Black Cleaver, and now even level 6 here for Vampire. They're already on this objective. Yasha can try to look for a turn. It's going to be a single grub going over to Ultra Prime.
Ooh, Vampire, he took half his health bar down, burns the Solar Flare. Now it's a flash away for the Fate's Call. Yasha's going to follow. They have their pick on Karis, who does have to bail out of the fight as well, but they've left Monki all alone with the Ragnarok. The stolen Pop Blossom finds nobody, but it's Cube flying into the back line. Doesn't even have the dominance churning until it's enough to start eviscerating the fight, but it's Wako with the Spears of Destiny into the hearts of WE. Saber gets the charm, one more dash, and sets Wako up for a huge multi-kill that Ultra Prime desperately needed.
My God, Wako gets that fight. He's just able to freely throw spears into the backs of WE. And what was coming in as a massive fight for them ends in a dismal defeat for WE. I like the control of this brush. Even Saber going to be eventually kind of lining this up. Oh my God, that is insane tech that we are seeing from the Nico. Being able to dodge out on the Zenith Blade here. I felt like this was a part where they may be overforced, but being able to have that reaction, Junhao and Saber immediately snap. And this right here from Karis, thank you to our observers, just straight up bullying the mid lane import of Team WE. That ultimate could have been a game changer for them, but with Jung and the rest of Ultra Prime kind of firing away in this fight, it was over really before it begun.
I just can't get that image out of my head of Cube with full dominance, the Black Cleaver like you talked about. I know it was Saber was the lower health bar, but walks right by Wako and eats about 5 spears to the back, and
yeah,
that was the difference maker. It is very hard to ever decide to ignore an AD carry in a fight, and Wako and Ultra Prime showed why you should never really commit to that ideal.
And despite losing that fight now, they're going to at least claw back some of this gold immediately. Again, I think they've had such a good focus on grabbing turrets for themselves. So some of that earlier work that we saw from Karis starting to pay off as they've grabbed themselves now the first turret of the game. And that'll mean that in at least 3 minutes time with the Herald coming up, or the Dragon in 4 minutes, there is a potential here for feats of strength coming in for Team WE if they're able to grab this. And same to be said for Ultra Prime. The next objective is going to decide whether or not they're able to get these upgraded boots.
I mean, hey, Alk, you tried to be the prophet in Champ Select, right? You talked about how big a Rift Herald fight would be. We didn't get as much of a Clown Fiesta in the early phase with level 1s and level 4 fights like you're calling, but gotta tip my hat to you. You said Rift Herald would be the impactful fight of this game, and everything is pointing towards that being a reality right now.
Maybe we still have some Clown Fiesta left in us, okay?
I'm down for it.
You don't know. Maybe it's waiting.
We saw some crazy
in
Nico tech.
the meal.
Oh, we're getting more Nico
Maybe
tech.
we get it here.
Which one's the real Ari? Oh, we figured out which one was the real Nico. Pop Blossom down, Cyclone knockup, but Cube's getting a ton of value out of this dominance as we flash to the other side of the map where it's now Ultra Prime's top lane that's under for the dive here. All out comes across. Ragnarok going to be enough to buy space.
Cube
Vampire
won that?
will die to the turret as Cube finds the win. I gotta see the replay on this one as Xiaosha goes down. The flash Q does not land. Cube gets the slice right out of it. Huge play for the WE top laner that broke this game back open for WE.
All of Team WE actually end up making that play. I really want to see how Cube was able to survive. I love that we got the dominance from him. He immediately goes in the mini wave. So here exactly is what happens here. Not enough damage already onto Cube. Has that Black Cleaver, so a lot of HP like we've been noting here. But yeah, he just gets the dominance. He has almost fully stacked Rage and a lot of healing right there. And in the topside play, I have so many questions. I mean, Jung did not throw the ultimate quite quick enough, so he doesn't get the unstoppable from using that. And then this flash from Saber, great reaction coming in from Cube. So they not only grab those kills, those are summoner spells away from Saber, and they grab the turret. So WE playing with just that much more poise, that much more execution in their favor here. And they're going to at least take the gold lead for now here in this game.
Luckily, it doesn't seem like either side will be without key ultimates when Herald comes up. Still about 40-ish seconds away. Pop Blossom coming up in mere seconds. Solar Flare is already back around. Ragnarok and Dominus for Cube and Monki all going to be available with both top laners holding on to their teleports. You can already see the ping starting to really ring through on this top side river. My only question becomes, do we have any big item breakpoints as we set up for this series-defining fight?
Doesn't seem like that is going to be the case, but WE taking a really aggressive path. Oh, they're in Fog of War. Junhao doesn't know.
Sweeper.
Oh my god. But still, look at how much work they've already done from WE. By taking this top tier 1, it makes it so easy for them to sit up here, push in this wave, and then lean off of this. Oh, Xiaosha trying to find something.
He's trading his Pop Blossom for the Ragnarok. Fate's Call pulls him out. Great heist play there from Xiaosha. The big ultimate down for WE, but in goes Karis with a stolen Spirit Rush. Finds the first one. Wako falls to Taeyoon, and Cube's flying into the whole muck of it with Ultra Prime, but he may have pushed his luck a bit too much as Yang trades him out. Saber gets a huge reset onto his ultimate. Monki does not have the Ragnarok, but he's got the fancy forward to get around the charm. Gets a big slow with the axe. Junhao still gonna chase him down and find a critical kill. Another narrowly marginal fight. But it's Ultra Prime that have prime positioning for the Rift Herald.
And I love the juxtaposition of styles that we're getting here from both of these teams. The bottom lane for Team WE definitely starting to make their name here. And the solo lanes for Ultra Prime cleaning up this play. As Xiaosha finds a small engage onto Monki and Vampire. I feel like this is just not the team you want to be going into. Wako is still hitting the mid wave. Saber nowhere near this fight. And I like what we got from Karis on the bounce back, really applying pressure onto the backline here. That just means that Wako is free to get hit on by not only Cube, but Taeyoon. And from here on out, now it's the solo laners from Ultra Prime who really have to make do in this fight and eventually grab themselves the Rift Herald in the trade. So that'll be the feats of strength going over.
Oh my god, we're still throwing fights. Oh, Karis stole a Pop Blossom on to 3 members. Here comes the return Pop Blossom. It's pandemonium as health bars are blinking across the board. But it's Team WE that find the first angle. Cube will be able to slice himself to safety as we go ARAM style for the first fight. And WE find the angle.
Great target acquisition there. I mean, Wako, you know he has no summoner spells. I already said playing into Olaf is really cringe, but an engage there from Vampire means that they get the bottom lane again for Ultra Prime. And this was why we had question marks around this Nico, especially for Xiaoxia, a newer player here to the LPL, being a call-up from Ultra Prime. He has so far kind of been taking a lot of damage, and Nico is not a tanky champion. She's not the same as like a Leona, like a Rel, or even an Alistar, right? So have to be very careful and choose your battles wisely. This will be the Dragon going over for WE after finding a big teamfight win in mid again.
Cloud Soul is a bit of a letdown for this big game 3, but
I don't know if that's true.
Oh, you know what? You're right. You're right. In this game, it's not. I'm with you. I'm capping. I'm capping. Let's get a replay though on the
Vampire. Never mind. Don't.
I'm waiting for the double pop blossoms. This is what I'm here
The
for.
idea was great. But yeah, Karis just finding so many ultimates, getting so much value. I feel bad for Wako here. He just gets completely focused, and it's right in front of their turrets. They're thinking maybe we could have made a turn under the, with the defense there. But yeah, kind of hitting back on your point. I mean, look at the ultimates here from Team WE, and specifically the fact that they're melee for a lot of them. I feel pretty good about taking that.
We're getting a updated Taeyoon Kaisa build here. It's been a hot minute since I've seen the Static Rush, but this should be the sort of hybrid-esque Kaisa build that can bring some damage to the Void Seekers, but still has the AD for some of those crazier all-ins. As the
also
Kaisa
should have the attack speed as well.
Right. But that's an important point to track, right? As we talked about, when the Kalista becomes most valuable versus the Kaisa, it's starting to swing back into Taeyoon's favor. Oh my god, we gonna fight in the jungle
fight
like
around
this?
mid lane?
This
Okay,
scares
okay.
me with all the pop blossoms and the stolen ultimates available, but Ultra Prime are gonna relinquish respect to WE, knowing what that fight could have been.
You saw it though. Karis threw the abscond abduct over the wall. He's like, just take me over the wall, please. I want to fight. I got this Ari ultimate ready. My Renekton just popped Dominus. I want to see if maybe we got some fight left in us. This is going to be Ultra Prime summoning in the Rift Herald. This should be the mid lane tier 1 going down. It's pretty close. It's not going to go down on this wave. I really feel like Ultra Prime, they want to take control of mid lane, move into topside jungle, and start prepping for vision around this ruinous Otacon. I feel like this is the first time we've been able to get it in this series, and definitely has to be a game changer for these two teams coming forward.
Especially knowing how close the XP levels are, right? There's all the top side are basically all on the same page with level 12, margining difference between the bottom lanes, and I know you've always really keyed in on how different the petals and the XP difference can be once you get that Ruinous, right? You can go from like a 7 to 10 petal fight to like 60 to 7 with one.
Yeah, and not only is it just like the adaptive force that you get it, so it does give you like a minor buff in terms of combat stats. The level experience is going to be so important for a champion like Olaf, getting more access to base stats when you are just such a disgusting champion. Same thing with like a Silas. Being that much closer to like a level 16, I think is make or break in a lot of instances. So Kalista does have, like I want to kind of touch back. We were looking at our 280 carries here. Taeyoon, as this game goes forward, is going to have exceptional range and be very difficult to deal with as this game goes forward. But I am looking at Kalista. She has such an early power spike with getting boots and getting these, first couple of items, but she's a champion that does scale and does ramp depending on how much she's allowed to auto attack. And once she gets 4 or 5 items, can actually start to match up against some other 80 carries.
There is a world where Wako gets enough in the kit and he can kind of just match Monki damage for damage with how much he can churn out. That's definitely a good point to bring up here. Is a lot of these teams are shifting their attention up towards Otacon, which we've already talked about has been the site of some sore eyes for teamfight fans. Is Monki? All right, we are starting this on a ward.
You got Kaisa. Yeah, no, Kaisa just lets this rip. No one from Ultra Prime is here. It's Kalista now showing up. Maybe with Monki, or maybe with Junhao coming. There's teleports coming on through. Cube's looking for his.
Taeyoon has to back out here with that big passive damage swinging around. Below 3k here, Solar Flow used by Vampire just to secure the Otacon. But they do just leave Cube out in Wasteland. He slices and dices, then has to flash with the Dominus popped, and Vampire will be the sacrificial lamb. They get most of the roses, but now Saber's on the chase. Flash Charm finds its mark. The Blast Cone will not save you from Junhao, who flashes over the wall. Otacon comes at a price for Team WE.
2 dragons for that epic monster increase, and look at the Blood Roses. They got so much experience during that play. How much more can Ultra Prime grab? At the very least, it'll be this mid-tier 1 and a little bit of control over the bottom side river. I don't care. It's a single Blood Rose. It's one of the small Blood Roses too, so it's very, very minor. I think a very willing trade there, especially as WE, they are now even with their opponents. If you take a look at this replay, as much as Vampires had some questionable ults, some questionable fights here, Ultra Prime just are not in position, and I will say, congrats to Cube. All you needed to do was just waste time for your opponents. Taeyoon was the entire fight just hitting roses. So I respect the hustle.
Respect the hustle, though, on Saber and Junhao, though, to chase down this final kill. Extra gold back towards Ultra Prime is there. Pushing towards their item breakpoints with both the jungle.
There's no summoners though, Slayer. There's no
Wako's
summoners here for Junhao or the solo lanes of Ultra Prime. So the threat onto Taeyoon gets that much weaker.
We'll have to see what those summoners look like, as we are bound to have another 5v5 fight breaking out with so much on the line here. Spot in Group Ascend, the final spot in Group Ascend. What will be rewarded with a Nexus explosion for either one of these teams, as Ultra Prime try and force their way down the river, bottlenecking into it, but it's Vampire to go in on his own solo. The Solar Flare, but it completely whiffs on Wako. Somehow Vampire is able to survive, but Wako gets the free hit this time round, kiting back, desperately trying to throw spear after spear, but he's lost all of his teammates, and Taeyoon's in with the killer instinct to put the final nail in the coffin, known as Ultra Prime. It's only Zhang to survive. Is that the fight that gets Team WE to Group Ascent?
That's going to be the Baron here as well. Team WE came to play. They may have lost to Ultra Prime in the first game, in the first round here of the Last Chance qualifier, but they're looking to rewrite history, say, hey, best of ones are not like best of fives. Just like this series, game one, a victory to Ultra Prime, but WE showing that they have the fortitude and they have the experience to be able to go toe-to-toe up against Ultra Prime. In this replay, I love the fog of war that we got play here. Silas threatening on the side. And while Vampire is just buying time with his body and with his HP bar, we just get to see the amount of damage that specifically Karis and Taeyoon, the imports here. We had some questions for some of them. Taeyoon has been the biggest carry for this team, but him and Karis have really started to step into their own here in this series and for all of today in their series across the day.
It's been so cool to see Split 1. We talk about those LCK imports, obviously Tarzan, who, you know, not
it's
really
been a while.
It's been a while, but technically
Kanavi as well.
Kanavi, you know, Setab was very impressive in Split 1 as well, coming in for Thunder Talk, and now we get to see, like you mentioned, Karis and Taeyoon as they look to push Team WE to what was unthought of in the LPL fandom. Them in Group Ascend, them finally finding some sort of stride that we were hoping to see ever since Split 1 concluded.
I'm going to have to watch a BLG WE game later this year. Oh, okay. All right. Come on, WE. Let's close out strong today.
Okay, I thought Junhao was going to be a bit more aggressive. That last fight really did show that Wako at this point does not have enough damage to really carry those fights. And that might be the most alarming part here for me, Alk, is that fight Wako had solid 5 to 7 seconds to throw a lot of spears into that front line, and it not mattering might be the real death sentence here for Ultra Prime.
I mean, there's also just not enough damage coming out from the other targets, right? Like, WE are just making a beeline straight into the back line of Ultra Prime, making it so that Wako can't play the game, so that he doesn't have time to set up. And then Saber is just sitting here like, yeah, I've got Malignance, I've got the Leandries, but really haven't been able to tune it all together. I will also say that Xiaoxia on this Nico, the window in which we wanted to see this play has gone and went at this point. The Nico has not been able to provide enough, and I think we're seeing that difference. Even though Vampire is having a hard time with landing some of these abilities, he just has like an additional 2,500 HP that he gets to play with for free that Xiaoxia and the rest of Ultra Prime don't have access to.
And rub some salt in the wound here for Ultra Prime fans. The Otacon XP benefit. We now do have the two people you pointed out, Alk, and I think you did a great job spotlighting them. Monki has level 3 Ragnarok. Need that up for every single WB fight, and Karis is going to be able to refresh this hijack whenever he wants, and those ultimates are so pivotal for WE's fights, and right now having that level advantage over their counterparts just makes this even bigger of a spot for WE to call game.
Yeah, level 16 Karis just means that he gets to steal ultimates on cooldown, basically. It's literally a 10-second one. It is very short, so if a fight does go that long, we expect for that to potentially be a big influential piece. Cube also hitting level 16. This is so tough. And now Taeyoon, in my eyes, just like, I'm looking at this, has Seeker's Arm Guard. How are we
Yeah.
ever killing Kaisa? This is so difficult to play. Ultra Prime are going to have to pull a rabbit out of the hat if they want a chance here. And it's not like even like they have stacking dragons, like they've had like a really long side lane to play through. It has been quite sad, at least in this game, to watch for Ultra Prime, a team that was starting to surge back in the standings towards the end of Split 2 placements, but just have not been able to string it together tonight.
It's so many competitive games, but wins are what really matter for these placements. And yeah, like you called out, it feels impossible for them to really play the game that they draft to do by this point. Even if you get a big Cyclone into a big Pop Blossom, there are 2 Seeker's Arm Guards for the carries of Karis and Taeyoon, like you pointed out, and then you know Monkey's just waiting for you to ult so he can ult and run you down with no care in the world here. Baron timer's going to tick down here as Team WE do get a lot of value out of that window. They knock down nearly all of the outer base turrets by this point, and the item breakpoints are still just streaming in here as we get another third item coming across from Monki on this Olaf that will just run the fight.
Yeah. So, minute and a half before some of these objectives. Soul, like we were just mentioning, coming up in a minute here for WE if they take it. And these items that we're seeing, honestly, I would like to see from Ultra Prime get a little bit more gold for Saber. I know that he just finished 2 of those needlessly large rods, so the proximity to him picking up a Rabadon's Death Cap probably not going to be as influential here, but really need to see them kind of put up a last stand effort. The items that we see in their inventory now are going to be the last items that they have before having to really kind of have this game completely out of their control. It's a 6,000 gold lead here for Team WE, and it feels like this last dragon is going to be, like we've been saying, nail in the coffin to see WE go to Group Ascend here. Maybe they even, do they try to trade for a Baron? I just, the timers are so desynced.
They're really trying to set a trap around these mid waves. That's what Vampire was looking for before he gets the charm. But you're also buying space for Cube on the spot side. Does have teleport, but it's a short walk over to this dragon. So he gets more gold for, what, mid lane prio at the moment. They still have river control in. Big News Observers once again toggling how dark this river is for Ultra Prime. Xiaosha does spot out
my God, Monki!
Cube. Monki is far too low when he pops the Ragnarok. Pop Blossom will be dodged by Karis, so that big Nico ultimate is completely useless. But Cube is diving in all on his lonesome. Karis is going to find the kill and find the dagger there with the double up. The import is looking to pop off, and Wako won't be able to save them. Does cleanse, flash himself back out to safety, but Taeyoon flashes, puts the dagger in the heart, and you all across the LPL fandom doubted it, discounted WE, sent them to Group Nirvana in your heads. Well, they've defied your expectations and will grab the 10th and final spot in Group Ascent.
And they do it in not too surprising fashion. Taeyoon with a massive performance, and Karis stepping up when the team needed it. He has been a bit missing, but it has been incredible to see WE's rise back into Group Ascend.
Congratulations, Team WE. Group Ascend, but the bigger prize. You have kept Worlds, the ability to compete for Worlds alive. You have secured a spot in Split 3, a fate that cannot be said the same for Ultra Prime after this loss.
I think it is so tough, and I want them to be able to celebrate. I want to be able to kind of talk about the great things here for Team WE, but the job is not done, and they have a long way to go if they even want to be in the same room as being talked about to going towards Worlds. There are still a lot of problems, and the fact that we are seeing them struggle up against some of these teams here, the third place teams from across the LPL, I think it's we got to be a little realistic with where WE is kind of headed here. They have 5 days to be able to celebrate and then recalibrate as we start up our Split 2, and they're going to be going against top dogs. You know, obviously FPX is still going to be in that group, but you look across the table, they're going to play against TES, they're going to be playing against BLG, Weibo, all of these teams that are going to make it very difficult for them to be able to play their game.
Yes, I'm glad that you put that caveat on this one because it is important, but the prevailing thought right now is we've hyped up how vicious this split format is. Team WE have dodged that big bullet Because we talked about it a lot, right? Like for Team WE playing in Ascend is just it's going to be really rough. It's going to be tough to play, but that's where you thrive, right? That's pressure is diamonds are built off pressure. So the fact that you get to play against all those top teams, learn from them, and you guarantee yourself another split of more games to start synergizing more of this team with Monki, right? We just saw Karis had two very big and important games. Taeyoon is still he's now raised his bar level across this tournament and the start of Split 2. So there's a lot to look up to now for a team that so many people were down in the dumps about weeks ago, Alk.
I mean, literally 24 hours ago, I was
Yeah,
ready for
true.
this team to get farmed. I was ready for this team to get farmed tonight. So, pleasant surprise, and I think the two things that ring out true more for me when I look at this team is the access to more games. When you think about the format in Group Ascend, one of the differences between the two groups is double round robin for Group Ascend. Nirvana's only going to be playing single round robin.
Yeah.
And again, having that guarantee that you will be in Split 3. There's no where are we landing? You might even potentially get better games because technically you are in Group Ascends. You do end in the top half or close to the top half of groups teams here in the LPL. I just want to see what this team can do and how much experience can they soak up from playing against all these better teams. Because it'd be nice in theory to be able to say, like, you're 1-1, you're always going to be able to grow after every single game and eventually reach your peak, your ceiling. But that's not always the case.
Right.
Progress, especially for teams and as much as for all these individuals, is not linear, especially when you think about their journeys to get up to this point. So looking forward to what WE and how they can kind of shape their split going into Split 2, but kind of have to look across the rift from them. Ultra Prime always feels like darlings, especially if you're on North American Twitter, or I guess Western Twitter, Western Civilization Twitter.
Yep.
Always kind of feels bad when I see one of my favorite social media teams kind of sad post on the timeline, but
that's what they get for ghosting you, man.
A lot of the same mistakes.
This is what they get for ghosting you. Nah, I'm kidding. Yeah,
True.
It stings because they kind of went for the same like end goal composition in both these last two losses, right? Like we made the jokes about the circles syncing together, right? Like in game 2, it was here again 3 with the Wukong, like the Nico, and just never really ended up clicking. And it started like right out here. Like the warning signs were apparent from this very dive that he was able to survive. WE credit for them to be able to respawn from that very rough game number 1, but Ultra Prime definitely gave opportunities for WE to run away with this one. And who runs away with the last player of the game here? I'm once again going to campaign for Karis.
It's Karis.
Are you okay?
It's Karis.
All right. I mean, Taeyoon has. I think he goes deathless again.
He played Kaisa. So unsimilar to last game. I feel like Taeyoon definitely had more impact as this Kaisa, but when we saw every one of these fights, or at least a majority of them, I feel like Karis is just setting up. He's doing so well. We either have the stolen Ari ultimate or the Nico ultimate to just get straight into the back line. Karis having such a big influence in so many of these fights, and I want to see him continue this level of play. I do not want to continue to see the Karis that looks lost on the map, that kind of is just roaming around and not really getting stuff done, that can't find his kind of space in a team fight and on the Rift. And coming back a little bit to Ultra Prime, the parts of this game that always have looked good for this team, at least so far here in the Last Chance qualifier, have been the solo lanes.
Yeah.
Have been when Junhao in particular is linking up and we're seeing Saber kind of be that initiator for the team. That Talia game in my mind really sticks out. But you think about other games like we got from him, the Zed. I think that his Yone kind of took a little bit of work to have, but big games on Akali individually, those have been when we've really seen Saber step up for the team. Even we've seen some of his Rise games. I really want to see what happens when we actually give him tools to the kingdom. Let him play with Junhao. Make this a very dynamic mid-jungle that can kind of run around and get stuff done, because honestly, where else are you getting firepower from? Wako is very inconsistent. Xiaoxia is a academy player now stepping in. And Wenjung, as much as I would love to believe in like the PCS talent and LCP really starting to rise up as a, seeing the success of a team like CFO, this is a really raw mechanical talent. I mean, even talking with Molecule, he's like, this guy is literally spamming solo queue games after the a set of competitive. But like solo queue and competitive, very different, and I don't think we're getting that one-to-one transition.
I'm with you. I think what this series encapsulates, what the ideas you're supporting is, I think that game 1 draft, I hope to see more of that from Ultra Prime, where they, like you talked about, let Saber facilitate, spearhead the game, put Junhao on, maybe not a full-blown carry, that he can really continue to help facilitate this top side and run away with games. But focusing back on this series, Karis does grab that MVP on the Silas. Congratulations to him and Team WE. I've gotten word, though, that, I don't know, Mickey, if I'm jumping the gun here. Can we look at the completed promotion bracket? Here it is, folks.
Yay!
Soak it in, because I'll repeat it myself once more. I guarantee you, I know nobody at the LPL English team had this bracket filling out like this, and I would be hard-pressed to find any of you loyal viewers at home that had it like this as well.
Well, if you did, congratulations, Lucky Chatter. You participated in gambling. So I'm really proud of you. You did a great job for however many of you did get this bracket correct. You could just look, and the best part about being a Twitch chatter is you can just lie. You could just say, I had this bracket. This bracket is mine. So again, really surprising stuff. I'm glad that we got to see them, in particular, a team like FPX actually kind of get some of their act together. They're a team that can be really exciting and has some names that, as journeymen here in the LPL, hope to make their name. And it just feels good to see the teams that have been, for the last couple years, on the bottom start to at least make a push. And I think that's part of the appeal of a format like this. So exciting stuff, especially for the teams that have qualified, and hopefully for Ultra Prime and for LGD, they can kind of prove us wrong, or at the very least not get eliminated from Split 2.
Yeah, the 5th and 6th spots in Group Nirvana. Eliminated from LPL competition for the rest of the year. Very short. We'll obviously be talking about that all Split 2 long as we conclude the appetizer for the split. Now we get into the meat and potatoes. 10 teams in Group Ascend, 6 in Group Nirvana. We will pick back up with the LPL. Not too far away. You guys don't have to miss us too much. We'll be back on the 5th. But before we get on out of here, we got to make sure we give a shout out to some very important people. Of course, I am talking about our elite coffee supporters. Thank you very much to our elite coffee supporter, Aaron Soup. Their pledged financial contribution helps level up the broadcast and give back to the cast and crew who strive to give you an LPL English product every single day. We have been trudging along with the start of Split 2, but it's time to wrap things up, folks. It is nearly 7 in the morning for myself and AlkBattery. Alk, it was a pleasure. Yeah, woo! Bedtime, yeah. We do this all for the LPL, all right? We appreciate all of you that have stuck around with us. That will wrap up the appetizer of Split 2. Coming is Group Ascend and Group Nirvana and a whole lot bloodier games of League of Legends. We will be back on April 5th. Until then, take care, and we'll see you soon, LPL fandom.